So good afternoon. We are going to be looking at the rest of lecture 10. And believe it or not, I finally figured out how to go full screen with my PowerPoint slides. So you can see I have more space to write on today. Okay, I guess it's never too late. Next semester, I'll know right from the get-go. But we are going to be talking about the different types of tissues in the body. And there are four main types of tissue that we are going to be examining today. Um, it's going to feel like there's a lot of information and you might feel overwhelmed to try to memorize all of it. But don't worry too much. Just try to get the big concept, like the big theme of the slides. And I will give you like a summary sheet at the end of today's lesson. All right, to put everything in one page, and then you can use that page for your tests. To help you out a little bit. So let's start with the epithelial tissue. Yeah, epithelial tissues are tissues that will cover the surface of an organ, or if the organ is hollow, like the stomach, like the heart, the inside of the chambers are also going to be covered by a layer of epithelial tissue. And they come in different shapes. Some are flat, some are like cube shape, and depends on how many layers you have. We also give them different names. And so let's look at some common features or general characteristics of epithelial tissue. Right? So the best way to think about an epithelial tissue, using an analogy, is to think of a sandwich. Right? So the sandwich, you got two pieces of bread, and in between, let's say you put some peanut butter in there. Okay. So when you hold a sandwich and then you're gonna eat it, the bread that you're touching, those are called the apicosi. Apicosi. That's the side that is exposed to the air, essentially. So in an organ, like if you zoom in onto the lining of the stomach, you would have the cells here, and then you would have more cells here on the other side. So one side would be facing the inside of the stomach, and then the other side will be facing like the outside of the stomach, right? So both of these sides, like the sandwich, that is the apical side. Okay. And the peanut butter in between, that kind of binds everything together, right? The in between layer right here, that is called the basement membrane. Okay, basement membrane. So there's some kind of connective tissue there that binds it all together. Okay. You can also think of like if you do crocheting or something similar to that, you have your template, right? And then you put the yarn and the threads through the template. So that thing that holds everything together, that is going to be the basement membrane. All right. Now, like I said, the epithelial tissues are classified according to the shape of the cells as well as how many layers you have. Some epithelial tissue have a single layer. We call that simple uh, epithelial. And in other cases, when you have multiple layers, then we call that stratified. Okay, stratified, two or more layers. Okay, simple, one layer, stratified, multiple layers. In terms of shapes, we have three kinds. We have the squamous epithelium. Okay, squamous are flattened cells. The best way to visualize them is to think of like a sunny side up egg. Right? You have the yolk in the middle, but in terms of a cell, the middle is gonna be the nucleus in this case. Right? So there's not much volume to them. They're kind of flat, and they get packed closely with each other. Next, we have cuboidal. Cuboidal is just like a dice, with the nucleus in the center. Sometimes we have these weird terms in biology and anatomy. with I in like strange places. If you ever have trouble pronouncing them, just change the I to a Y and then sound it out. So like Q and then boy, right? Cuboidal epithelium. So these are cube shaped stuff. And finally, we have the columna. Columna are more or less like rectangular in shape. Okay, think of like a locker, right? Rectangular in shape, longer, elongated. All right, so three key shapes that we're gonna look at. Now we can use these terms in conjunction with each other. So here we have the simple squamous. Simple squamous means a single layer of flattened cells. Okay, one layer of flattened cells. Okay, and that's what they look like in a real slide. And this is like the cartoon drawing down here, right? So we have the cells here, and the free surface is called the apical side. That's the side that will be facing, again, either the outside of the organ or the inside. Okay, like, do you guys understand what I mean by that? Like here, right? Like if this is like the intestine or something, right? So like you would have cells on the outside facing the outside, and then like the inside here, right, where my finger is touching, that is going to be also the apical side. All right, so like these are typically what happens when you have a hollow organ. Now, what are they good for? Well, for simple squamous, if it has only one layer, they are very good for letting things pass through. Right, so like diffusion, right, of gas, diffusion of nutrients. You don't want the oxygen in the lungs to have to pass through, 5-6 layers before it gets into your blood, right? You want it to be quick, you want it to be easy. That's why we're only going to have a single layer. Yeah, so you will find these simple squamous in air sacs of the lungs, and that is the location of gas exchange. And you will find them in blood vessels, where it's good for nutrient exchange, as well as they actually create a smooth surface. And one of the things you will learn next semester is that blood does not like to go through rough surfaces. If they go through a rough surface, they tend to clot. So by creating a smooth surface on the inside, prevents the blood from clotting. Okay, so single layer of flat cells, and they are good for letting things pass through, whether it's gas, whether it's glucose, waste product, just pass through a single layer. Done. The counterpart of simple squamous is what we call stratified squamous. Stratify means more than one layer, right? So you have one sheet of flat cells, and then another sheet, and then another sheet. So you have multiple sheets stacked together. And in general, the stratified squamous is going to be useful for protection against wear and tear, as well as it protects you from, drying up. And it depends on where you find them. Okay? If it's found on skin, then they are keratinized. Okay, by keratinizing them, it makes them like waterproof. Basically, things don't really like the water don't really sip through our skin right easily. It's keratinized. It makes it like a waxy barrier basically. And then if it's found inside the body, then they are non-keratinized. Okay, non-keratinized. Okay, you don't have to worry about drying up on the inside, right? It's mostly the outside that is being exposed to the elements. And the functions are the same. They protect wear and tear. They are usually found in locations that are subject to very harsh environment, very extreme temperature, right? So, for example, it makes sense to have stratified squamous on our hands, on our feet, especially the feet. You're walking around all day long. There's a lot of friction, and the skin becomes thicker, right? So when they become thicker, it's basically, you have these stratified squamous that are being formed, and inside the body, like for example in your mouth and your esophagus, there are also stratified squamous, because we put all sorts of stuff into our mouth and we swallow them, right? Like hot stuff, cold stuff, right? Spicy stuff, things that have a high pH, low pH, salty stuff. All these things are very harsh for the cells, and you want to, protect your oral cavity, protect your esophagus from these things, and it makes sense to have multiple layers of these squamous cells to protect against all these extreme exposures. So simple squamous, no protection, but it's great for letting things pass through. Stratified squamous, we don't want things to pass through. Okay, we just want to protect these areas from wear and tear. Next, we have the cuboidal epithelium. Cuboidal epithelium are cells that are cube shaped, and they are often found in some kind of ducts. A duct is a tube that connects maybe a gland. Like for example, you have a sweat gland, and then there's a sweat duct that carries the sweat to the surface of the body. If you think about the mammary gland that produces milk, and then there are ducts that carries it to the surface of the body as well, and the sides of the ducts, they are made of the simple cuboidal epithelium. Right? So that's a cuboidal. All these cells, they basically forms the surrounding structures of a tube, and they are important for secretion as well as absorption. Okay, this is particularly evident in the kidneys. You will learn again next semester that there are millions of microscopic tubes. They are kind of like crazy straws. Okay, it's like a tube, hollow tube that's all twisted up, and they help absorb things and secrete things, and ultimately these two processes allows you to filter the blood and make the urine. Okay, and the cells that forms these tubes, they are the cuboidal cells, and you only have one layer of them. Okay, you only have one layer of them. Next, we have the simple columna. Okay, columna. They are also good for secretion and absorption, but because they are bigger, they're like longer and taller compared to the cuboidal cells. They are also pretty good with protection. Okay, protections. So in the GI tract, your gastrointestinal tract, where there's a digested food, partially digested food that are moving forward, you want to be able to secrete some mucus to help move the stuff along. And you want to be able to absorb the nutrients from the food, but you also want some protection. Okay, like again, the food that we eat are, it has all sorts of different chemistry with it, right? And you want to protect your delicate cells from that. So the columna is able to do that for you. Okay. Since we are absorbing stuff, right? We don't want the nutrients to have to cross, multiple layers of these rectangular cells. So that's why we're keeping it simple with just a single layer. Okay. Then there are other kinds of columna with specialized structure. We have these things called ciliated columna. Okay, so ciliated means on top of the columnar cells, you would have some cilia, right? You learn cilia from me in lecture 3. They help move things along. Right? So you will find these things in the trachea, in the airway, that helps sweep up the mucus. You will also find them in places like the fallopian tube, where it will encourage the movement of an egg towards the uterus, right? Now, there is another adjective here that's a little bit strange. Okay, it's called pseudo-stratify. Okay? Stratify is multiple layers. Does anybody know what pseudo means? What does it mean when someone uses like a pseudonym? Pseudo. Anybody? Okay, pseudo means fake. Right? If someone uses a pseudonym, it means they use a fake name, right? So this is pseudo stratify, right? Meaning it looks like it's multiple layer. It looks like it's stratified, but actually it's just a single layer. Okay, so if you look at the columnar cells here, they are nicely packed, one rectangle next to the other rectangle. But over here, these cells are kind of squished, right? They're not entirely straight down. Like some of them are squished at the bottom, some of them are squished at the top. So when you just look at it under the microscope, it gives the appearance that they are multiple layers, but in fact, they are not. Finally, in addition to cilia, in some cases, in the GI tract, as well as the kidney in some cases, they have microvilli. So microvilli is different from cilia because they are just like extra foldings like this. And these foldings help maximize surface area. Okay, they don't really move. The cilia will beat back and forth to help move things along, but the microvilli, they don't move. They are just these finger-like projections that help increase the surface area available for usually absorption. Okay, so that's it for now. Those are the different kinds of epithelial tissue. So let's see if we can identify some. Okay, let's start with the top left picture here. What do you think this one is? Just, tell me or type it in the chat box. This one right here. What shape does it look like to you? There will be some question like this on the test, huh? Like I'll give you a picture and you have to tell me what you're looking at. Okay, so this one looks like the sunny side up egg, right? And it's a single layer, so it's simple squamous. Simple squamous. Best for diffusion, best for osmosis, found in airway, as well as blood vessels. Okay, how about this one? You have to know this one, right? Come on, give me something. Let me know that you're actually learning something from me. What is that? No? Oh, that's too bad. This is square looking, right? So in a 3D form, it's a cube. So this is cuboidal. Cuboidal. Okay. What you're looking at is actually a duct. This is the inside of the duct, right? That's where the fluid is going to be going. Okay. How about this one? Can you try this one? Someone try this one, please.
Pseudo-stratified.
That's a good try, but you see that they're just
Simple columnar.
Yep, you got it. Okay,
Simple
simple
columnar.
columnar. Simple means a single layer, and they are so rectangular looking. Simple columnar. Good for secretion, absorption, and a bit of protection. Okay, look at this one. This one has all the hair, right? You see all the hair, and then it looks like multiple layers. So this is the pseudo one.
Pseudo.
Pseudo stratify. Pseudo stratify ciliated. You can actually see the cilia. Columnar. Okay. You don't have to type the names. Okay, it's gonna be like multiple choice. You can choose them. And this one here, it's like multiple layers all stacked together. That's the stratify. Stratify squamous. All right. I know it's a lot of stuff, right? Like it's hard to kind of learn it and apply it right away. So let's fill this in the study guide. Hopefully, it will put them all in one place, and you will be able to understand better. Okay, but work with me. Okay, work with me here. Show me that you actually understand. Okay, let's start with this one. What is that? Give me a name. You can do it, right? What is the name of this one?
That's the simple squamous.
That is right. This is simple because it's one layer and they are sunny side up. So that's squamous. Okay. Very thin, terrible for protection, but excellent for diffusion, right? Transport things through them, right? Smooth surface. Where do you want to transport things? Blood vessels? And where else? Where does gas exchange occur?
What did you say? Where was one? Gas?
Gas exchange, yeah, like oxygen, like how,
Lungs?
exactly, right? So there we go. Okay, you just think about the function, and then you think about where in the body would you need that, right? It should make sense though, right? If we're gonna move oxygen through, you want a single layer, right? It doesn't make sense to have 5, 6, 7 layers. Okay, next one. What's this little thing?
Cuboidal.
Yep, and it's simple, right?
Simple cuboidal.
Yeah, simple cuboid. Okay, and they form ducts, and it's for absorption and secretion. Absorption and secretion. Right? If you have a duct, right, the outside is going to be these cuboidal shaped cells. Okay, think of like building an igloo. Okay, right? It's just like, right, so on and so forth. So you will find them in ducts of glands. Okay, ducts of glands. And it's at the kidney, right? All right, this is also simple. By the way, I forgot to remind you, like this sheet here that attaches all the cell, right? That's the basement membrane, right? For all of them. Okay, all these guys at the bottom here. That's the basement membrane. Okay, I'm just gonna write it once here. Basement means at the bottom, right? membrane. So what's this one? Simple what?
Polymer.
Simple columnar. They are also for absorption, secretion, and protection. Okay. You say, like I like to think of the simple cuboidal as like your basic package. Okay, it comes with absorption and secretion, but if you upgrade to the columnar, it comes with protection as well. Okay, like an extra feature. Kind of like your, $30 per month phone plan versus $40. Have extra stuff. Protection. And you will find it in GI tract. How about this? There is your basement membrane as well. There you go. But what should we call this?
That's the stratified.
That's right.
Stratified. Squamous.
Stratify, yeah, stratify, squamous. Multiple layers of flesh cells. The squamous is the only one that has stratify. Okay, the other kinds don't have stratify. And this is for protection. This is very good for protection against wear and tear. And dehydration. The slide says desiccation. Desiccate is to dehydrate. It's the same thing. Those little packets that you found in like your snacks, like in chips or something sometimes, right? Keeps the snack crunchy. Those are called desiccant. Right. Over here, where will you find it? Skin. Okay. Hands, palms, bottom of your feet. Things that don't comes in contact with like a lot of rubbing actions, it's not as many layers. Okay. And inside the body, we have like the mouth, like the oral cavity. That's more appropriate. Esophagus. That's the tube that connects the throat to the stomach, right? Okay. Some are keratinized, like the ones in the skin. And then the ones inside the body are not. Okay, last one. What about this hairy looking thing? What is this? You can see the individual rectangle, so that's not the pseudo kind. Just ciliated. Okay, so you'll find it in like, again, airways, reproductive tract. Help move things along, whatever that thing is. Could be mucus, could be egg. Okay, that's pretty much it.
Sir.
Yeah.
If you said the squamous is only stratified, why would they still include pseudo-stratified for the ciliated columnar?
Yeah, so the key thing here is it appears to be stratified, but then it's actually
not.
simple. Yeah, but it's not. Yeah, it's actually just one single layer. It's just they're so crowded, it's so packed that when you look at it, it looks like, you have so many layers, but it's just very squished together. That's all. Okay. Okay, so like that's a simple answer, right? But like in real life, like why do people care, right? There is something called histology which is the study of how cells looks like. So people look at the cell sample from like a biopsy or something, and they would know what normal looks like and what abnormal looks like. So like if you expect to see these like pseudo stratifying layers in particular part of the body, but then they are now transitioning into like a simple columnar, then that's a sign that something is wrong, right? So like that's why there are these classification, if you must know. Okay. I hope you can tell you can do this one for me, right? Which of the following best describe multiple layers of flat cells? We sort of just kind of did that just now, right? I hope you have the right answer.
The simple squamous
But it says multiple though.
or multiple layers of. Sorry, I need to move your screen.
Oh, sorry.
Multiple layers of. Flat cell.
Yeah, multiple layers of
So-
flat cell. That would be the stratify, right?
Okay.
Stratify means multiple layers. Okay. Stratify squamous. Are the rest of you okay? Can you give me like, you know?
But you know what's tricky about this question? It says flat. Why would they put flat cells?
But they are flat. Let me go.
It's flat cells.
Yeah, look here, right? Squamous are flattened cells, right? Yeah, they are like a cardboard that has been squished, flattened.
Okay.
Okay, that's why I keep on saying like sunny side up, right? Visualize it any way you need to. Okay. All right. How about this one? Anyone?
That's A.
Yeah, simple squamous, right? Single layer flat cells, best for diffusion. Okay, we roll it down here, guys. Look. Simple squamous, best for diffusion. Okay, well, this is a hard one. It's like an application question. Healthy trachea is your airway, are lined with ciliated columnar epithelium. So these are columnar cells with cilia on it. In heavy smoker, the ciliated columnar will likely be replaced by, the answer is stratified squamous. Okay, the chemical in the smoke actually destroy the cilia, and once the cilia is gone, you know, you're not able to remove the mucus, and there is a lot of like chemical stress from all the smoke. So your body wants to protect the airway, and the best way to protect it is to replace it with stratified squamous. Okay, so without the cilia, when the cilia are all replaced by these stratified squamous, the person has no way to remove the mucus from the airway. So heavy smoker often have this smoker's cough, right? That they have to physically cough out the mucus. All right, next here we are going to be looking at the different types of connective tissue. I don't know why my slide is missing a thing here. Oh, there we go. There. So there are 4 types of tissues, right? We just did epithelial tissue. The next one is connective tissue. Right? And then there are like a bunch of connective tissue. Okay. Connective tissue, as the name implies, they connect stuff together. Do you know there's no empty space in the body? Like, you know, you have your kidney, and the kidney in the abdominal cavity, but then the space between it is filled with either other organs or connective tissue. There's no hollow spots, which is a good thing, because if there are hollow things in between, then you know every time you move the body, like your kidney would be like banging around inside the body, right? Which is of course not good, right? It's going to cause damage and things might get tangled up. So there's no, you know, empty space. Any kind of empty space are filled up by connective tissue. Okay, connective tissue, as you will see, will also produce blood cells and, you know, help store fats and that kind of thing. So of all the types of connective tissue that we are going to look at, each type has its own distinct cell embedded in some kind of matrix. Okay? The matrix is the surrounding in which the cells are bathed in. And this matrix can be solid, could be semi-fluid to completely fluid. All right. You don't have to memorize the type of matrix you get, but just, when you see the picture, just know that, oh, it's not the cells themselves. There are some non-living components to the connective tissue as well. So there are two categories of connective tissue. We have what's called the soft connective tissue, and then we have the specialized connective tissue. And together it's like 6 different types. So let's start with the soft connective tissue. Soft connective, oh my goodness, my slides are all messed up because of the ratio. So in the loose connective tissue, as you can see in the picture, it's not compact. It's like loosely packed. You can think of this stuff as like those packing styrofoam. Sometimes you order like I don't know, some kind of electronic or some kind of appliances. The space in the box is filled with these tiny styrofoam, right? I think they're called like styrofoam peanut or something, right? And they fill up the space to cushion the electronics, right? To cushion the appliances. So in the same way, the loose connective tissue helps cushion major organs. Okay, it allows them to be nicely packed in the cavity without too much wiggle room. But it's not very dense. That's why they're called loose connective tissue. And you can see the cell here, okay, and the matrix are formed by all these fibers. Okay, those fibers can be collagen fibers, which gives it a little bit of elasticity and a little bit of ability to absorb shock as well. Okay, so that's the loose connective tissue. The other kind of soft tissue, right here, right? Soft tissue has two kinds, right? Loose and dense. And you can see in the picture, dense is really compact. Okay, they could be compact in an unorganized way, as in the top picture, and then they could be dense in a very organized way. So in the bottom picture, we call this the regular connective tissue, and then this one we call the irregular connective tissue. Irregulars are found underneath your skin. Okay, so like if you pinch yourself a little and lift it up a little bit, rub it between your fingers, right? So you have the skin, obviously, and then the things that are between your skin that you're rubbing, that is basically your dense irregular tissue. The regular kind, the one that is like forming these parallel threads, they are much stronger, and you will usually find them in tendons and ligaments. For those of you who don't know, ligament is what connects bones to bones. So like in your wrist here, you have a bunch of bones. You have like actually 7 of them called the carpal. You might have heard of like carpal tunnel syndrome, right? Like this is the carpal, and it has 7 bones there, and they're all taped together by ligaments. Sorry, someone said something?
Are we still talking about soft connective tissues?
That's right. So soft connective tissue has loose and dense. And then under dense, there is regular dense and irregular dense. Okay, I'll put all this in a nice chart for you in the end, and then it will make sense. Okay, I promise. And then tendon. Tendon connects muscle to bones. So these obviously need strength, and that's why we have to have the dense regular connective tissue. So that's it. Soft tissue. we have the loose and we have the dense. And under dense, we have regular and irregular. Now, next thing we do is cartilage. So the next four, they are called specialized, okay, specialized connective tissue. So we have cartilage, which are useful for elasticity, flexibility, we can say. It is useful for protects against wear and tear, and support. So on your head, give me two things in your head on your head that's made up of cartilage.
Your ears?
That's right. What's the other one?
Nose?
Yes, very good. Okay, so the ear and the nose are made up of elastic cartilage. Okay, they give some flexibility. You can fold your ear up and it doesn't hurt, and you let go and then it springs back to the normal shape, right? So that is because of the elastic cartilage that forms it. So it gives it some flexibility. Fibrous cartilage is found in between the bones in your backbone. Okay, so your backbone is made up of multiple repeating units. And when you bend forward and backwards, these tend to rub against each other. And so you want to put a little bit of cartilage in between. Okay, there is a nerve that comes out from the side of the backbone, actually, as you will learn next semester. In older people, if the disc it wears out so much that it's like too thin, or if it slips out sometimes, it's called a slip disc. Then the bones will be crushing down on each other, and it will be pinching on the nerve. You might have heard of a pinched nerve before, maybe some of you. People with a pinched nerve, they have these tingly sensation in the hands, fingertips, or toes, and they need to go do therapy. Okay? They lie on a bed, and then there's this head harness that they wear, and then there's some heavy weights that is pulling on your neck, right, to help pull your spine apart so that you can relieve the tension. Okay, so normally it doesn't happen because we have the fibrous cartilage that have a disc in between. The last kind is the hyaline cartilage, which is found in surrounding your airway. So, like if you take your hand and then gently stroke up and down your throat, you can feel little ridges. Okay, those are the cartilage that are surrounding your trachea to keep it open. Right? We don't want our airway to collapse, otherwise we can't breathe. Okay, so cartilage is good for flexibility, protection against wear and tear, as in like in the backbone, and support, as in like the trachea. Another kind of specialized connective tissue is adipose tissue. Adipose tissue is just a fancy word for fat cells. And we learned a long time ago in the course, fat is useful for energy storage, for insulation, as well as protection of internal structures, right? So you would find fat tissues surrounding major organs. In this picture, it's like showing fat tissue in the breast, but fat tissue is quite abundant throughout the body. This is what bone looks like when you cut it into very thin slices and you look at them under the microscope. All these structures are made up of calcium and phosphate, and you can't really see the bone cells but you just have to trust me. The bone cells live inside these little holes. Okay, so you will learn about that next semester as well. Okay, so bones are useful for support. It helps produce movements, but bones also help you store minerals as well as make new blood cells for you. Okay, you don't have to know that. I'm just telling you. Okay. Finally, we have blood. Blood is also a type of connective tissue. It's made up of cellular components that are found in the liquid portion of blood. The liquid portion of blood is called plasma. Plasma. Plasma is mostly water with some proteins and nutrients in it. And then there are three kinds of cells: red cells, white cells, and platelets. Okay, red cells helps you transport oxygen. White cells help you defend the body against pathogens. Pathogens are like things that makes you sick, right? And platelets helps you stop the bleeding. Okay. Now I know that was pretty quick, but let's see if you can identify some of it. Let's start with the easiest one. This one you can tell, right? If any of the slides stood out to you, I'm hoping you will remember this one, right? Anybody?
Bones.
Bones, that's right.
No, that's broken bones.
Bones, that's right. The one that looks like 3 rings, that's the bones. Okay, how about this one? This one with a lot of gaps in between. What do you think this one is?
Elastic cartilage.
Good try. Not quite that one. Okay, if you see a lot of big empty circles, right? These circles are storing fat.
Adipose.
That's it. That's the one. Adipose. Adipose. How about this one? Okay. This one is blood. It's blood. All these red ones, they are red blood cells. The purple guys are white blood cell. They are purple because we stained them purple. Okay. Normally they're just like transparent. Okay. These ones that looks like little crystals, like little glass beads, if you would, those are the cartilage. Cartilage. Okay, they look little glassy, right? Like shiny little beads. Cartilage. You don't have to tell which type of cartilage it is. I have a whole box of these in the lab at school. Like if you're doing the in-person lab, you'll be looking at them under the microscope. Okay, this one is loose connective. And this one is the opposite, which is dense connective. Okay, let's do a quick summary of everything we've done so far so that we are not going to be like too confused. So get a piece of paper and do it sideways, okay? So put tissue here in the top. Tissue. Tissue is a connection, is a collection of cells, right? That come together to, do special things. So there are 4 types of tissues, and we've only learned 2 types so far. What's the first type we did today? Like the big category, what do we call them? Starts with an E.
Epithelium.
Epithelial
Yep.
tissue.
You got it. Epithelial tissue. Okay, we can say epithelium. That's the same thing as well. Epithelial tissue or epithelium. And we can separate them into simple and what's the opposite of simple?
Rigid.
Sorry, what was that again, Tohib?
Rigid.
Rigid? No, not quite. Also start with
Hard.
S. Simple means one layer, right?
Stratified.
Stratified, that's right. Stratified. 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 Stratified means multiple layers. Like fossils, right? They found it in the stratified rocks of the Great Canyon. Stratified, multiple layers. Okay, under simple, we have a bunch of examples. We have simple squamous. Okay. When we finish class, you should get a different pen, different color, and then write example. So simple squamous would be like, air sacs, right? We did that already, but you should do it yourself so that you have a nice sheet that you can use as reference for the test. Okay, I'm just gonna do one here for you. And then you might want to use a different color for like function, right? Which is diffusion. Okay, give me two more, please.
Blood vessel.
Yes, that's an example, correct. But I'm looking for another type of simple. The shapes, right? Like simple squamous. What's another?
Cuboidal.
Cuboidal, yeah. Cuboidal. Okay, what a cuboid, though. And then last one. Columnar. There you go. It's like learning a new language, right? Like so complicated, all these new terms. I'm with you. Now, columnar comes in several different flavors. Okay, you can have your regular columnar. You can have your ciliated columnar. You can have columnar that has microvilli. And you can also have columnar that are pseudo stratified. Okay? All right, thank goodness. Stratify only has one type. Which is it?
Stratified squamous.
Squamous, that's right. Okay, they could be keratinized, as in the ones in the skin, or non-keratinized, as in the ones in the mouth. Okay, but that's your job to write out the examples. Okay, because if you just copy it from me, it doesn't go in as nicely, right? Okay, done. That's the first type of connective tissue. What's this? Oh, sorry. I just gave you the answer. I want to say that's the first type of the tissue. Okay, there are 4 types of tissue. So first type is epithelium, and then the second type of tissue is what? Did you hear what I said?
Connective tissue.
There you go, connective tissue. Yeah, I went ahead of myself. Now, connective tissue has subcategories. Okay, and it's easy to miss them in the slide, right? Because there's so much information. Remember, this is meant to be like an overview that connects you to the next course, right? We can go into much more details later on. So like just big thematic idea here that you need to know. That is all. So we can have soft connective tissue. And you know, as much as you want to say opposite of soft is hard, it's not. The other category is specialized connective tissue. Okay. For soft, we have the ones that's underneath the skin, right? Remember I told you to pinch yourself and then rub it around? What are you feeling between your fingers? Loose connective tissue. Okay, they fill up space. They fill up, you know, the space between the organs. Give me a second, huh? I'm just trying to help you out here. Yeah, I can put a picture here if it helps. There, loose connective tissue, right there. And then we have dense connective, right? Dense connective tissue, which separates into two kinds. We have regular and irregular. Again, I'm just trying to get a picture for you to see. This is irregular. It's like so random. The fibers are not going in a particular direction. Okay, think of that as like, you know, waking up in the morning and you haven't really combed your hair yet. It's like all tangled up. It's like my kid's hair. Like every morning, it's like, oh, it's like a bird's nest. And then once you comb it out, they become regular, right? They are like all going in the same direction. So the fibers in regular is all going the same direction. That gives them strength. That gives them you know, more structure. And you will find them in like tendons. Right, I'll write down for you tendons, which is muscle to bones, ligaments, bones to bones. Irregular is under the skin. Okay, this is under the skin as well, between organs. Are we okay? Any questions? We just, you know, doing the same thing in the PowerPoint slides, but, you know, organizing it in the chart. Okay. If you are with me, give me a specialized tissue. There are 4. Give me whatever you remember.
Cartilage.
Which one is that again? Sorry, I missed that.
Cartilage.
Cartilage, that's right. Cartilage. Okay. Cartilage is for support, flexibility, wear and tear, protection. And then there are 3 types, right? There's the elastic one in the ear. There is the fibrous one in the backbone. And then there is the hyaline in the trachea. Okay, these are the ones that looks like little crystal beads. Okay, that's the one. That's the crystal beads. Okay, what's another one?
Adipose.
Adipose, sure. I am totally gonna run out of space here. Let me try this again. Right here. Adipose, which is just a fancy word for fats, right? Yeah, exactly, for fats. Okay, I'm gonna get my adipose picture right here. There you go. Okay, lots of empty spaces. All right, another one. We have two more.
Bone tissue.
Yeah, bone. That's good. If you remember cartilage, you're gonna remember bones. They are like usually people associate them, right? Bones, you know it's bones because they look like tree rings. Okay, they are for support, movement, right? And then here, the last kind,
Blood.
blood. Blood. We have the plasma, which is the liquid portion of the blood. And then we have these red cells, white cells. Okay. That's all. All right, let's finish the chart and then I'll finish the rest of the PowerPoint with you. How many different types of tissues do we have in the body? I keep on telling you, but do you remember?
Yep, 4.
4 types, that's right. Okay, so this is the third type. A third type. Third type is muscle. Muscle is a type of tissue. Okay. So we have 3 types of muscles. Skeletal, smooth, and cardiac. Okay. You probably have to like redraw this yourself later on. I'm like totally running out of space here. Let me move this guy further down. Sorry, I didn't really plan this nicely. Okay, so skeletal muscle, we classify muscle based on 2 things, based on how they look like under the microscope and based on whether you can control it or not. So for skeletal muscle, we say they are striated. Now don't confuse striated with stratify. Stratify means multiple layer. Striated means they have banding patterns. I'll show you a picture. And it's voluntary. That means you can move them. Any muscle that you can move is going to be called, it's going to be considered as a skeletal muscle. If you can move them, then it's skeletal. So give me, did you guys know any muscle name at all? Any muscle name at all? No, nothing? Usually people know 1 or 2 muscle name. What's this thing called again? You remember, right, from last class?
Your biceps.
Yeah, so the biceps, right? You can move the biceps. Okay, you can move your triceps. Okay? You can move your facial muscle. You can move your tongue. All these things that you can move voluntarily, the finger, right? All these things are considered as like skeletal muscle. Okay, and they look like this. They look like they have little banding patterns on it. Right, so I'll give you an example, right? Like biceps, right? Smooth muscles, they are non-striated. Non-striated, they don't have the banding patterns, and they are involuntary. You cannot control it. Okay, so example would be like muscle in the GI tract that helps push your food forward. You don't control that. You can continue to push the food even when you're sleeping. You don't have to have conscious input. Okay, so that's a smooth muscle, right? You can have some smooth muscle in your bladder, in your urinary bladder. Okay, when you need to pee, the muscle squeezes on the bladder and it comes out, right? Okay. Cardiac is in the heart. Okay, they are striated, they have banding patterns, but they are involuntary. You don't control whether your heart beats or not, right? It will be scary if it does. Like, what if we forget to tell the heart to beat, right? That's not a good thing, right? It should be autonomic, it should be automatic. So that's it. Those are the only 3 kinds of muscle, right? You can see in this picture that they have the bands, right? If I zoom in really big, right, you see all the lines, that's striated. Okay, that's it. And then the last kind of tissue. Last kind of tissue. It's nervous tissue. That makes up your brain, your spine, your nerves. And that's all you have to know about it. Okay, it's too complicated to even do like a little bit of it right now. Okay, we're gonna spend 3 weeks talking about the nervous system next year, next semester, which is next year actually. Okay, so that's it, right? You have this chart next to you on the test, right? Then you can quickly see what belongs to what. It should make it much easier for a lot of the questions. Is that okay? Do you guys have anything you want to ask about this table? Okay, well, we just have one poll question here. The type of muscle responsible for involuntary contraction of the stomach is, well, based on the table we just did, look at it.
Smooth.
Sorry, which one?
Smooth.
Smooth, that's right. Smooth. Okay. Smooth is involuntary. You do not control how your stomach turns, right? Like when it's hungry, it does the turn and then it makes those embarrassing sounds, right? You have no control over that. And that's the whole course. Okay, congratulations. You finished learning all the lessons. Now you just have to study them and take the test. So like I said, Tuesday will be asynchronous. I will post a review video for you to watch. And I'll show you the review sheet as well. So no need to come for Zoom on Tuesday. And the final test is going to be on Thursday, the 14th, available from 6 a.m. to to midnight, essentially. And there are going to be 50 questions. Okay, no short answer, just multiple choice or multi-select. Okay, so that's all. Thank you very much. I hope to see you guys again next semester. Best wishes and good luck for all of your final tests.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you so much, sir.
Ask a question about the
Sure.
multi-select.
Yep.